Hey everyone, it is Willow. Welcome back to my channel. I want to talk about confidence today because once I really figured out what confidence truly was, it changed the way I showed up for myself, for others, and it also made me have a new perspective of life in general. There's so many ways to go about it, but in reality, it is so easy to actually have confidence. And this is coming from somebody who wasn't always the most confident. As a child, I was my authentic and true version of myself. I was a really confident little girl. I was very social. I would put myself out there a lot, and I just never had any doubts about myself, about my appearance, anything in life. I was just a really happy and positive little girl. Reaching into my middle school years, the kids can get a little bit mean, and my confidence definitely took a little bit of a struck. I was no longer that little girl that wanted to show up as her true, authentic self. I also was a competitive dancer. So when you are a competitive dancer, you're automatically comparing yourself to other people. And again, it's just not the best confidence booster. This made me turn into a really shy person. I was very, very, very quiet. I didn't speak a lot. I was very to myself. And one of the things I noticed about myself during this time period was I wanted everything to be predictable. I was not going to do anything unless I knew exactly what the outcome was going to be. And I wasn't going to take any risk unless I knew, again, the outcome of the risk and what was actually going to happen. I wanted to be in this little like safe bubble almost. And I never stepped outside of that bubble that I created for myself. In my later years, like later teen years, early adult years, I started to become conventionally attractive, you could say. I was getting definitely some attention that I was not receiving before. And it was all new to me, but it was interesting because even though I did receive some attention, I never felt it within myself. I would post pictures and show up as such a confident individual, but I never truly felt confident. To me, looking back now, I would call myself insecure. At that time, I wouldn't call myself insecure, but I definitely wasn't confident. At that time, I was always in the mentality of, oh, well, I could be better. I could be better. I could do this better. I could do that better. And sometimes when I did receive compliments, it was so hard for me to actually receive because sometimes I didn't even believe it in within myself. And it's funny how when I think about that now, it's like, wow, confidence can really be fake it until you make it. If I were to ask somebody if they thought that version of myself was confident, they'd be like, yes, 1010%. But for me, knowing how I felt at that time period, absolutely not. Very far from the truth. However, I think confidence is one of the best things that you can gain for yourself when you are on this journey of discovering who you are and healing yourself because it changes the game. It actually changes your whole perspective on a lot of stuff and takes away some of those negative mentalities. Low confidence is so, I would say it's more dangerous than anything because when you have low confidence, you can alter your life's direction. You can get so far away from your assignment and your mission on this life and just your path and journey of life. When you do have low confidence, you'll try to seek it somewhere else. And that somewhere else can be very, very, very dangerous. Like it can lead into a whole bunch of different paths and ways of living that you probably would have never gotten into if you did have the confidence within yourself. Throughout my years of growing and learning and becoming the person I am today, there is one thing that I realized about confidence, and it has nothing to do with the external self, but rather the internal. It doesn't matter what your posture looks like, it doesn't matter how you walk into a room, it doesn't matter what you look like. It all has to do with your internal self in the way that you're perceiving reality. Low confidence can stop you from actually living your maximum capacity in this life and flourishing into the beautiful individual that you actually are. So, we're going to talk about some ways that confidence can start entering into your life and that you can actually obtain confidence. I thought about the little girl that I used to be. And the reason why I was so confident in myself at such a very young age, and a lot of us are so confident as children. We live in our truth at such a young age, and until the world starts to shape us and mold us into a different individual, we show up as the best and purest versions of ourselves as children. When I think about that little girl that I was, she was the most authentic self. She was true to herself. She didn't care what people thought about her. And she was always going to live life to the best and to her fullest that she could with what she was given and by being just herself. When you are developing confidence, the best thing that you can do for yourself when you're trying to obtain it is be true to yourself and be authentic. If you don't know what your true self is or who you are in your full identity, start figuring it out through things that you like to do and don't like to do. Explore. Dive into some different fashion trends, like do some different hairstyles, just explore yourself. Like, try new things, see what you like and what you don't like. Show up as yourself in every single room, in every single space. Do not minimize yourself. Don't change the way that you're showing up. Just show up as yourself. Whatever feels the most natural and whatever feels like it comes the easiest to you, do that. Even if that means that you are going to be standing there and quiet the whole time, if that is you showing up as your authentic self right now, then that is you. Like, I promise you, when you show up as your true and authentic self, it erases all of that anxiousness and nervousness around how am I going to be perceived or how am I going to show up in front of like these other people. How are they going to view me? And one of the best things, I feel like a lot of the times when you hear people talk about confidence, you hear about how confident people just attract opportunities and attract things into their life that just fit so well for them. It's usually because they operate from a place of authenticity. When you are being authentic, you're in alignment and you're living in your truth, you are going to attract everything that is on the same vibration as you. Everything that is meant for you and is going to fit into your life perfectly is going to come on your path when you are operating from that energy state. So, the first thing to becoming confident is you have to live in your truth. You have to be your most authentic self. And if that means that you need to take time to show some love to yourself, to figure out who that is and what that looks like in your life, who is the person that you are? What is your identity? What are the things that you like to do? I will always always, 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 always advocate for you to get into the word. Start learning who God is, learn Christ's identity, and start reading the word. I promise you, if you don't know where to start there. And it will change your life absolutely. When it comes to identity and who you are in Christ, it is so easy to figure out who you are and what your assignment is and what your mission is, but it takes those first little baby steps. You may not be able to get all the way down to the end goal within the next day. It's going to take time, and that's okay. And also, I'm a firm believer that you're forever going to be evolving into different versions of yourself as life continues. We grow as human beings, our mentalities change, our perspectives change, and that is okay. But if you right now, you being the person that you are, is living in your authentic truth and living in who you truly believe yourself to be, that is all that matters. Once you start to live in your truth and live and show up as your authentic self, you start to make decisions for yourself. Now, recently, I had a friend tell me that they're like, I don't hear anything that goes on in your life anymore. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, you know what? I just recently have been in this space where I want to make decisions for myself. Like, I don't want to speak to anybody like, hey, I got this problem and I don't know what to do. Unless it's a decision that I'm trying to seek wise counsel, it's usually something that stays between the Lord and I. I really started to practice trusting myself and making decisions for myself, because the more that you do that, the stronger your intuition gets. And the more that you trust yourself, the more that you are going to gain confidence in yourself. Being able to trust yourself just increases your confidence. But you practice that trust by always showing up for yourself. So, for an example, if you tell yourself, hey, tomorrow I'm going to go to the gym, you got to go to the gym. You can't push it back to the next day or the next day after that. You have to live up to your own words and what you're telling yourself, because yourself isn't going to trust you if you tell it one thing and then you go and do the other thing. It just, your words are not aligned with your actions, and that at the end of the day just subconsciously breaks the trust within yourself. So you have to show up for yourself, put yourself first in certain scenarios. Like, for an example, if you know something isn't going to be good for you, or if you know something isn't good for you, stop doing it, remove it from your life, find a way to heal yourself, whatever is causing that harm towards you. Because when you show up for yourself again feels safe. When you feel safe within yourself, you're going to trust that you can make better decisions, that you can do the things that you want to do, that you can take those hard and strong risks. Because at the end of the day, like, if it does go any direction, you're going to be able to redirect yourself to the way that you want to go. Another really good one I feel like with trust is learning how to set boundaries. Your girl is still working on this a little bit, but I feel like it takes time. One thing I've learned about boundaries is like there is levels to it. Like there are some things where I am so cool and set and I can set a boundary and stand on it, and there's other things that I'm like, ooh, okay, I don't know. Like I want to help this person, but I know it's going to overstretch me and I'm torn, but setting boundaries I feel like is a really good way to learn how to trust yourself more. Because again, you're not going to put yourself in a situation that is going to drain you, that is going to cause you harm, that is going to break that safety that you're building for you and within yourself. Now the last one is a little bit of a reminder, but comparison is the thief of joy. When I tell you guys, when you start to put yourself in the mentality that you are on your own journey, you're in your own path, and you're in your own lane, life gets a weight lifted off of you. Like, you feel a weight lifted off of you when you start to put yourself in that mentality, because you don't look at the next person and go, oh my gosh, why don't I have that? Or I don't look like this, or I'm not where this person is. You don't compare yourself to other people because you understand that this is your journey, this is your assignment, this is your life. You are on the right path, you're exactly where you're meant to be, and you have everything that you need. I think when you start to compare yourself, it's crazy how the comparison mentality actually just makes you focus on the negative in your life. It makes you focus on the lack. And when you focus on lack in your life of the things that you don't have, you miss all of the beautiful blessings in front of you, which is the quickest way to steal gratitude and joy and happiness out of your life. Because the Lord wants us to rejoice in all the greatness and the good that He has provided for us. But we cannot do that when we are constantly sitting here pointing out the stuff that we don't have in front of all the beautiful blessings that we have been blessed with. Comparison is one of the hardest and fastest ways to belittle your confidence, because you may look at somebody, right, through the internet or a peer, a friend, a family member, and be like, wow, this person is so confident because they have X, Y, and Z. And they may be thinking to themselves, like, I am not the most confident person ever. Like, because I do have X, Y, and Z. And this is one of the best principles that you can ever know when it comes to comparison, is that because they do have X, Y, and Z, they also have X, Y, and Z problems. Just because there is a positive doesn't mean that there's not going to be a negative. And on the flip side, when there is a negative, there's always going to be a positive. That is one of the best principles that you can look at. So when you do look at somebody that is like, I don't know, if you're like, oh my God, they have a G Wagon, like they just have it all, they have everything. You don't know what they did to get that G Wagon. You don't know what happened as to why they had that G Wagon, or maybe that G Wagon is giving them all the problems in the world and they've spent more money fixing it than they did to buy it. You know, you never ever know what is truly happening in somebody's life, especially because a lot of the times people are not going to show you the negatives through social media or even share the negatives very outwardly, because it takes vulnerability to do that. And being vulnerable is really, really, really hard, especially when it puts you in a situation to be attacked or to be judged or perceived in a specific way. Naturally, as human beings, we are social. We want to be socially accepted. We want to fit in. So we tend to subconsciously create these little like barriers that help us to do that. But the moment that you understand that who you are and where you're going is completely destined for you and perfectly fit for you, it takes the ease off of comparison so easily. I will forever say that confidence is such an internal thing. It starts with you and how you're perceiving yourself and reality. It is not the easiest thing. I will say that any type of mentality or growth takes time, and that's okay. It should take time. because the journey is always the most beautiful part. So when you are learning how to gain that confidence and how to build that confidence, step one of literally just figuring out who you are and what it truly means for you to operate in your authenticity may take you maybe just a year to figure that out, 2 years even. And then maybe you can start to figure out ways that you can trust yourself. Or if you're juggling all the different ways of building confidence for yourself at the same time, it may take 6 months or 5 years for you to actually master confidence. And I really do think one thing about confidence that a lot of people don't talk about is it is so much easier to have confidence in one area of your life versus another. If somebody were to ask me, like, oh, what hair products do you recommend? I have a very similar hair type to you. I would feel very confident telling them what products I would recommend because I have spent so much time trying to take care of my hair, trying to figure out what products work for me, understanding my porosity, and doing the knowledge of hair. Now, I may not know as much as somebody else, but in that area, I would be a lot more confident telling them, hey, yeah, this is what I use for my hair versus, oh, what makeup products do you recommend? Because I am not. I am not the best makeup girly. So I would be like, ooh, I don't know. Like, I'm not very confident in sharing what I do recommend for makeup because I am not the best in that category. So, again, confidence is one of those things that is going to vary, but it all is based in trust and authenticity, truth, and just not comparing yourself to other people. That is like the perfect little bunch that I can explain confidence as. The more that you put yourself out there, the more you're going to start to trust yourself, the more you're going to start to increase your confidence, and beautiful things are going to flow into your life that also are going to help you increase your confidence. External values help, don't get me wrong. However, they are not always going to be everlasting. External values are never everlasting. So when you put a lot of your confidence, a lot of your faith and trust into something else that is external, a material item, maybe your job position, whatever the case is, and you lose that, then your confidence is shaken and shattered. And that is not what we want. We want to be able to create confidence that cannot be shaken, that cannot be destroyed, regardless of what happens inside of our lives. But I hope this video helped you guys in some way, shape, or form. And I thank you guys for watching today's video, for always being here for me and having these talks and listening. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in another video. Bye.